Hey guys, welcome to the vlog. I have been waiting so long to film this video today. I've been waiting on the one-of-one angle mod for my Nissan 350Z to arrive. It finally is here, and today is the day we are going to finally install it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you the angle mod and all the crazy things about it, and then we're going to go ahead and slap it on the car and see how it does. Alright, so there she is. I have got my one-of-one FDF race shop Mega Mantis kit for my 350Z. It is beautiful. It's all hot pink and lime green. It's gonna match the colors of my car perfectly. That's just one side of it. So we've got the knuckle, the upper camber arm, and then we've got the lower control arm and tie rods. And then of course we got the rest, the hardware and all that fun stuff in there. It does have a fully adjustable Ackerman, and I've got the 0 Ackerman plates already sorted out. I've already put it on this one here, and we're going to be running 0 Ackerman on the car. However, if we don't like that, we can always set the Ackerman to +2 or +4 and change it out depending on how we like, and that's just a quick adjustment. We can do that at the track if need be. But yeah, I'll show you guys the stock angle that I have on here. If you did watch the, it's a couple videos back, it's a $60 mod, it's a tie rod spacer that is on the car, so it isn't stock angle, and it doesn't have the bump stops on the car anymore. But I'll show you what I have now, and then we'll compare it to the angle that I'm gonna have. Alright guys, so we went ahead and we pulled off the bumper. We're going to go ahead and jack the car up, take the tires off, and go ahead and take the calipers off, the rotor, and all that fun stuff. I do have my dad here helping out today. He is going to help just taking off all of the parts. There's a lot of pieces that does take 2 people, so let's get started. Let's get that wheel off. Alright, so we got the wheel off, and we already took the subframe bracing off. There are 6 14mm bolts. Here is the subframe brace, actually right here. So there's a bolt over there, 1 here, 2 here, and 1 over there. One of the bolts actually holds this piece on. It holds this arm onto there. So that just went ahead and fell off. And next we are going to go ahead and start disconnecting the struts, the sway bar links, and the LCAs. So we're going to loosen all that off, and we're going to disconnect it from the knuckle because all of this is getting replaced. These, those, and those. Alright, so what are we doing right now? We're going ahead and we're removing the caliper, right?
We're taking the caliper off because we need to get the rotor off now.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the caliper off. There's 2 22mm bolts on the back there. To get to it a little bit easier, we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn the wheel out. That way we have more leverage on the back and we can get our impact back there. Alright, so as you can see, we have a little bit more room back here to get to those 2 bolts that are on the back of the caliper. We're going to go ahead and take those off. Now make sure you have somebody hold it on here so that way it doesn't fall, because it will put too much pressure on the brake line and could break it. Alright, so we got the caliper off. We're going to go ahead and we're going to disconnect the brake line clamp, and we're going to take that off. That way it gives us more leverage on the caliper so we can move it to the sway bar. And we disconnected the mount for the brake line. It's here on the side. It is a 12mm. And we went ahead and we tied up the caliper on the sway bar because that's the only thing that actually isn't getting removed out of the suspension. Always make sure to zip tie it on the hole mounts because you do not want to put any pressure on the sides of the actual caliper itself. And by doing that, it's getting it out of the way, and we actually won't have to disconnect any of the brake lines, so we won't have to bleed anything. Once the caliper is off, the rotor actually just comes right off. There's nothing else that holds it. That's it. There went the caliper, or the rotor. And then we've got the wheel hub. We're going to go ahead and disconnect that. There's going to be 4 bolts at the back of the knuckle.
But actually the wheel hub is easier to take off. once you take the entire knuckle, because there's one bolt that will not come off. If you look at it right here, there's a bolt right down here which is being blocked by this arm right here. So it's easier to take this entire assembly apart, then remove your wheel hub for assembly onto your Mega Mantis.
Gotcha. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Also, another thing that comes very handy is a ball joint separator. I do have one over here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. So this right here is very handy to have. It's a ball joint separator. You can get them at Harbor Freight for about, I think this one was like $23. But it'll go ahead and it just clamps down and separates the ball joint, which is what we're going to be removing off of the bottom of the knuckle right there.
Okay, so instead of the old-fashioned way using a hammer and knocking out your ball joint like we used to do back in the old days, they got a cool little handy tool now, the ball joint separator, where you just slide your fork on the bottom of the ball joint, put this piece on top, and as you screw this down, it's going to pop out your ball joint.
Yeah, so it puts more pressure on the top of the bolt, and then on the bottom of the ball joint, it just clamps it together until it literally snaps it out. And there it went. There went the ball joint. So it's separated out of the bottom. It was in here. And now we can go ahead and disconnect the rest of the tie rod. We removed everything off of the lower control arm. The strut for the springs, which is right here, is a 17. We took off the sway bar link, that's a 17. And now we're taking off the actual LCA itself. That is a 19, so 17, 17, 19. Then we're gonna go ahead up here where the camber arms are, and we're gonna take off the two 14 millimeters. You're gonna have to use an open 14. And then this whole thing is gonna drop. But to get this bolt out here and here, we're actually gonna have to move the spring and strut. So to do that, so we're gonna go ahead and take off these three 12 millimeters on the top of the strut. We're gonna take the strut out, and that's gonna give us room for these two 14 millimeters here on the side of the camber arm, because they are extremely long and they actually hit the spring. Now, if you do have like BC Racing coils, or you have maybe a different type of spring, there might be enough gap between each one of the springs that you can actually pull the bolt out. But I've got iBox Sport lines, and they're a little bit more of a stiffer ride, so the coils are a little bit tighter together, so it doesn't fit. So if you start to have an issue with taking the sway bar link out, you're okay. We all have that same issue. It's because there is pressure put onto the sway bar when you have one side up and one side down. So what you can do is you can actually get just a scissor jack, a piece of wood, and you can lift all of the suspension parts up, which takes the pressure off of the link, and then you can just slide it right out of there.
Okay, so as you see, I went ahead and lifted up the suspension. I had to put a little wood block underneath here because it was a little too tall. And now once you get it all lined up, it just pops right out nice and easy.
So there is also on the 350Zs and G35s, I don't know about other vehicles, but there is a sensor that plugs into the back of the knuckle. I believe what this does, I did talk to Matt the Ginge, big shout out to him for telling me, but basically if your car has traction control, if the front tires are spinning at a different rate from the back, all it does is basically turn on your traction control. This is a base model. I have everything disconnected in the ECU reflash, so we do not need this, so we're gonna go ahead and disconnect it and just tie it up. Alright, so as you can see, we went ahead and we took out the two 14 millimeter bolts, and as I said, they do hit the spring. Same with this side here, as you can see, cannot get that out. So what we're gonna do is, we already disconnected the three 12 millimeters, and we're gonna disconnect the top of the strut. That's gonna pull out, which gives us room to remove the rest of the bolt. Pull this out, and then everything pretty much is just gonna fall back. It's gonna drop, and we're gonna take the last bolt out and pull it all off. Now, once we have this entire thing off, we can go ahead and disconnect the dust shield and the wheel hub itself. This is your chance to change your wheel hub if your wheel hub is bad. This one is about 3 months old. Drifting takes a really bad toll on them. But yeah, if it's bad, go ahead and take that off, change it out now. Alright, everything just went ahead and pulled out, and now that we have access to these bolts, they just pull right out, and it makes room for all that. Now here is the old knuckle. These things weigh so much. You wouldn't believe how much weight we also saved by doing this upgrade. And you can tell these bushings definitely needed to be replaced. So it's nice that we're gonna have solid bushings all the way through now. So since we have the knuckle off, we're gonna go ahead and take these 4 bolts off and pop the hub off so we can put it on the new knuckle. All right, we took the 4 bolts off, and then this literally pulls off. We won't be able to reuse this dust shield here, so that is garbage. Next, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna remove the tie rod from the rack, which if you watch the video that I posted on the cheap angle for 60 bucks, I posted an entire video on how to remove this and how to put the bellows back on and all that. Alright, so since we went ahead and we disconnected the old tie rod, we put the new one on. The off-rack spacer kind of just fits into place, and then you put the screw through and then the tie rod through, but we're going to leave the tie rod off for a minute, so that way it's out of our way while we do the rest of the knuckle and LCA. Alright, so next piece, let's see, let's do this one. Let's do lower control arms. So we're going to go ahead and put that on. Alright, so we went ahead and before we put it in, we pieced together the 2-piece LCAs. We connected this one. They do have these spacers here. These here are gonna go on this side, like that. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna allow this to have no play when it's here. Now we still have to grind these down just a little bit, but that's gonna make it so it's nice and centered.
Yeah, the factory comes with these two little tabs right here, and you gotta grind those down for a nice smooth fit.
Yep, and then we also have to pop these in, which we just did, and that's gonna play its role right here.
Okay, so I went ahead and changed my wheel from my gator blade to a grinding wheel. You can use the front of the blade to really get a nice smooth surface and get those nipples off, so it's going to seat in there very properly.
Yeah, as you guys can see, it's a lot smoother in there than it was. You can see it's right here on this side, and then there's some more tabs on this side, and you just gotta smooth them down so that this piece right here, as you can see, it's flat on both sides. We gotta make sure that that can seat properly on the inside of there, and with those tabs, it doesn't seat, so there's gonna be a little bit of play. That's why you have to grind them down. Alright, so we went ahead and we put this in. We just hand tightened the bolts just so it does hold it here. Once you do pop in these spacers, you can just stick like a flathead or Phillips head through there, and you can adjust it with the screwdriver. That'll make it so you can align it with the bottom of the strut. This here is going to be coming back off once we put the subframe brace back up. But for now, we just have this hand tightened. That way it will hold this all up. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to reattach the bottom of the strut, put the sway bar link, and then the rest of the knuckle and camber arm will go back up against the spring. Now, of course, you're going to be reversing your steps, so if you can't get any of these to go through this bottom of the strut or the sway bar link, you're going to again have to use the scissor jack and take pressure off of this. That way this will mount in.
Alright, so the new wheel hub assembly is going to go on your arm, and then we have new bolts that FDF sends you, where you just go ahead and reconnect your assembly through these fancy little
holes that they have pre-drilled, right?
That's awesome, right?
Yeah. So these old bolts that basically come off of your stock knuckles, you should technically keep it, you know, in case you ever do want to revert your car back to stock, which if you're like me and you're too far in, it's not worth it. But definitely keep the bolts.
But I gotta tell you, the fabrication of this is unbelievable. Thanks, Josiah.
Yeah, this entire kit is absolutely amazing. Just the way some of the parts are cut so that you can get wrenches in, like this one here. It's a little hole right here, and there's a bolt hole, if you can see that. And it's cut perfectly so that everything can fit and can be tightened, and it's really good work.
Don't forget red Loctite on these. Super, super important.
Yeah.
Loctite these in.
Yeah, definitely you want to Loctite them. Red Loctite, and those puppies will not be coming out. Alright, so we went ahead and we put the hub on the new knuckle, and then we went ahead and adjusted these to match the other side. I have them adjusted for maximum camber. That way when we're at full lock we get a full contact patch, but we're going to play with the adjustments later on. But for now we got these angled so that they will go back into the car. And we're going to go ahead and take the last bolt off, because we did put a bolt back on the strut and spring just to hold it up. We're going to take that off, lean it out, put that back in, and put those two 14s back on the top. That's going to hold the knuckle, and then basically just bolt everything together. Just a quick update on all of the parts. If you choose to get them powder coated, like I got mine two-tone from pink or fuchsia to lime green, the powder coat is actually built up so thick that sometimes on some of the holes and things that the screws go through, you have to actually grind down the powder coat, which is what we're doing here. You don't have to grind down a lot, but just a little bit on some of the holes. Alright, and we went ahead and we got the knuckle connected. We just moved the LCA up, and then we put the bolt through with the nut right here on the back of the knuckle. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect the tie rod. Now when you order the kit, you do get three sets, I'm sorry, of Ackerman plates. There's a +2 Ackerman, a +4 Ackerman, and then there's a 0 Ackerman. I went ahead and went with 0 Ackerman. You can go ahead and tell by where the holes are placed. They're gonna be placed closer to the outside of the knuckle if they're 0 Ackerman. And for the ones that are 4 Ackerman, which is the other way, they're going to be closer to the inside of the car, or the inside of the engine bay. That's just going to make it so that your tie rod can extend further or not further, depending on how much Ackerman you want on the follow wheel. Alright, we went ahead and we got everything installed. All we had to do was pop the tie rod in from the bottom and then tighten it from the top. We went ahead and we tightened down these two 14s. We tightened down this, which I believe is a 17 or 19. We tightened down this one here, the one back there, the one on the sway bar link, the strut bolt, of course the bottom of the knuckle, and then of course we made sure our Ackerman plates are where we, which Ackerman plates we want, which we're running the zeros. And as I said before, as you see, they're 0 because they're all the way to the edge of the kit, all the way to the outer edge. The only thing left is to put the rotor back on, cut the brake caliper off, and put it back onto the rotor. These are the new mounting holes for the brake caliper, and then put the wheel on. That's pretty much it. That's all of the angle mod. And you're gonna want to use your old pre-existing bellow on the tie rod, as you can see right back here, because you don't want water getting into the rack. And of course, like I did on the last video, I went ahead and used the zip tie, because if you're like me, you change tie rods a lot and like to adjust them, so you might have to slide this bellow down, so that tie rod you can just cut, slide it down, but at least that'll prevent it from getting water in the rack. And like I said before, you're not going to want to tighten this one, because that's going to have to come off so that we can put the subframe brace on, and then we'll put the nut over that. Alright, so we're finishing up the calipers right now. We went ahead and we put those on. Meanwhile, I went ahead and I tightened the strut bolts that are underneath right here. I'm going to go ahead and put the strut bar back on, and then we'll be good for up here. The only thing left is just to finish the brake calipers, tighten them down, and then put the tires on, and we'll be good. Alright, we went ahead and put the wheel back on. We got everything done under here. The only thing left, which we are doing right now, is the subframe bracing. And that is pretty much it. Well, she is totally done and put back together. I went ahead and put the front bumper back on. And as you can see, the tire pokes quite a lot. I mean, I don't mind it, but definitely gonna go wide body pretty soon. Thinking maybe Rocket Bunny or some sort. I mean, I haven't adjusted the toe and camber and stuff yet, but it's getting there. That's crazy looking. Oh my god. Wow, that is crazy. Well, let's check the lock. Alright, so we finally got the angle mod done. It's been a super long day. Huge shout out to my dad, JamPony93 on Instagram. Give him a follow because without him, I could not have gotten this done today. It would have taken me a month, if not forever. I've never done this before, so definitely he helped me so much. Please go give him a follow because, like I said, I couldn't have done it without him. But it's been a really long day. I know you guys are psyched to see it drift. So we are gonna fast forward to tomorrow. Let's see what it can do. All right, now that we got a little bit more of the daylight, we're gonna go ahead and test the kit, see what it can do. And I think I'm gonna crab walk a little bit for you guys too. So let's see what it can do. Alright, so we are back, and wow, just wow, this is a totally different car. It drives totally differently. I can't wait to try this at the track. It's absolutely amazing. It is, it's extremely dirty. I threw mud all over. I think because the tires poke now, it throws all of the mud up and onto the side, so the car is going to get definitely a little bit dirtier than it did before. But I mean, oh well. That fitment is crazy. I just can't get over that. Oh my god. And I'm probably gonna be doing a Rocket Bunny front fenders on it. Just the front fenders. I don't think I'm gonna do anything with the rear yet. But for now, it's just gonna stay stock. Once I wide body it, the entire livery is gonna go on, and it's just gonna finish off the rest of the car. I think it's gonna look really, really nice. You can just see the angle mod just hiding in there. Alright guys, so that is my review and installation of the FDF Mega Mantis kit. I absolutely have no complaints with it. I can't wait to use it at the track. It's going to be absolutely amazing. A huge shout out to Josiah at FDF for making this possible and getting the colors right on this, because it looks absolutely gnarly on this car. So like I said, again, I'm just really excited to have it, and I've been waiting a long time for the kit. The first one, as you guys know, got lost. Then the second one took a while to get here, and now we got it all on, and it's awesome. I can't wait now to put the livery on the car and everything else and just kind of finish it up. But again, I want to give a huge shout out to my dad for helping me with all of this. I've never done an angle kit before, so this was definitely a first for me. I want to give a shout out to Matt the Ginge for all of his advice, Ambush Drift for all of his advice, and actually I want to give a big shout out to Taylor Drift as well, because he was the one that actually told me about FDF and was the one that told me about the original kit called Mantis. And once I looked at it, I was like, oh wow, this is weird. You know, I've never heard of Mantis before. And then once I got in contact with Josiah at FDF, he was like, yeah man, we got this new kit called Mega Mantis. You know, you should get it because it's gonna be a lot better. And I did. So without Taylor's advice on that, I would have never have even known about this. I probably would have gone with Wise Fab or something else, you know, like everyone else does. But I want to be different and always push the boundaries, and that's what makes it fun, doing something different. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. The next one's going to be absolutely crazy because I'm going to have this kit hopefully dialed in by then. But yeah, thank you guys again so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Maybe shoot my Instagram a follow at Smokey Drift. I'm always posting all of the videos that I'm doing and all of the short fun clips before they go live here on YouTube. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.